evening. Today I'm going to be tying up a wet fly and a dry fly. I'm quite new to doing wet and dry with the hackles because I've only just learnt how to do hackles. However, I got this quail wing, two of them, so I like that soft hackle. I'm going to do short versions of these, so if you want, they'll be linked in the description and you can always go have a look if you're just looking for a quick demonstration. I think I might do a nymph at the end. I'll see, but hope you enjoy. Here we have a fulfilling mill size 10 black nickel nymph hook, and then we have a Vineyard, Vineyard cobweb 100 meter 09, I'm supposing that means size 9 thread, on a very simple bobbin. This is a wet fly, by the way. Start it off. So if you're right-handed, you come in from you towards the hook, go over the top and then wind backwards, trapping the thread. I'll try and get a better camera soon, and then I will do a tutorial on properly starting it off, because obviously it isn't the easiest to see. Then snip this waste away, put it aside, then you wind back, you wind back in closed spirals. I'm obviously doing it quicker for the video, but if you want it nice, you do closed touching spirals all the way back. Then you grab some pheasant tail, you select about 6 fibres, I think got 7 here. You rip them off, and then there's usually a bit holding them together, but for this it's just come off. Now what you want to do is you want to size it to your hook, and you want about 1/4 of your hook coming off the back here, or your shank rather. So I think that's 1/4 here. Then you grab it, do 1 wrap round, readjust it so it's all on top. Oh, you might have to unwrap it and rewrap it a few times, especially if you're a beginner like me. And then you just adjust it if you've accidentally moved it about by pulling it both sides. You only do 2 wraps or even 1 wrap at the very beginning. And then you start wrapping it down, going towards the head of the fly. And then once you're about halfway up the shank, snip it off and come back a bit and stop just about here. Now you grab wire of your choice. Obviously I don't really have any choices at the moment as I'm limited on stuff. I've only got 1 wire, which is this vineyard, I don't know if you can see that. Right, vineyard, copper wire, fine, 0.2 millimeters O, or 0, I don't know. I like to, so it's like pinned in here, there's this notch here. I unpin it, then just undo one wrap, pin it back in, snip, and if you're using your good scissors, use just the back of it here, at the very back, as not to blunt the top. Now what you want to do is get it just a bit ahead of your thread and do 1, 2 wraps, and then you pull it until you can no longer see the end. It's a bit fiddly. Oh, it's come out for me. 1, oh. You might want to do 3, just make sure they're not too tight. Pull it through until you can't see it, like there. And then you wind back, close, touching spirals until you've reached your tail. Oh, and another thing with your tail, if you want to, I do it to sort of help bunch the tail back together. You can go underneath and it also helps it prop back up. And now you want to grab your dubbing. Here I'm using, I'm not even sure what it is. Unfortunately, it doesn't tell me. It's one of these many options on the back, so I guess if you're into this quite a bit and you... Oh, never mind, it does tell me. Australian opossum. That's what it is. You want to get out a bit of the tying thread. You put your dubbing against the thread. You put your finger on the back, your index finger for me, or if you're weird, your middle finger, I don't know. And then thumb on top, twist one way towards the curve of the fly or the hook. And you just sort of grab very small whispers of it at a time and twist it on. Ooh. Twist them on, and if you want, taper it now whilst you're putting it on with obviously if you're beginning, not obviously, the thinnest part of the dubbing should be nearest to the hook and the thickest nearest to the bobbin. There's the thread. Now if you've got wax, you want to wax your fingers and wax the fly, as it just makes it easier, but I haven't got any wax. These are old materials except for this wire. All the materials except for the bobbin, the string and the wire are materials that I've got from Malin and Green in Bakewell. Lovely shop, lovely people. Just got a fly tying tuition one-on-one session yesterday with Bob. Very kind, very, very fun. You wind up the hook shank and you leave 1/3 for the thorax. And this is something Bob taught me yesterday. 2/3, 1/3. So 2/3 for the body. Oh, like 2/3 of the hook is for the body, and 1/3 of the hook is for the thorax, which is where you typically put like your wing cases or whatever it may be. For here it would be our soft tackle, and then you just sort of want it to be a carrot shape. So the thinnest bit of the carrot wants to be near the bend of the hook, and the thickest part needs to be nearer the eye at the end of the body section. I believe that to be good. And now you grab your wire and you wind it forwards in open spirals, evenly space them, and then that's about 1, 2, 3, 4. That's about 5 wraps. Then you pinch it under your thread, 2 wraps behind, 2 wraps in front, and then another one behind, and helicopter the excess free. Ooh. If it's snapped off but it's not the whole thing, just sort of pin it down with thread. Now I've got this, it's English partridge. In case of feathers, I've got another wing as well. You want to select out a good soft tackle feather, such as this one. You don't want the fibres too long, so it's always good to check. The fibres on this seem about right. Then what you do is you strip this sort of marabou at the back and all this soft stuff off and discard of it, as you won't be needing that, just leaving an empty stalk. I mean, I don't know, you might want to use it for something, I'm not entirely sure. And then you're left with the stalk and this. Bob called what I'm about to do the one-legged man method. So you basically wet your fingers, then you pull these fibres back and you just sort of select the amount that you want. And I usually give myself quite a lot, considering I'm using. Sorry, I do apologise. My phone just ran out of storage, so if there was some sort of delay or something, I'm not sure. Yeah, I do apologise for that. But you got the one-legged man. You've got his head, this tip bit. You've got his arm, the arms, the fibres that you want to use. And then you've got his singular leg at the back here. Now what you want to do, here it is, you want to put it, and you want it has a natural curve. All feathers have the natural curve. You want that curve to be facing down. So you put it down against just above your thread, and you want that curve to be going downwards, and you go into the middle where there's no fibres because you've stripped it all back or forwards, and then you just do a couple of wraps, snip that tip off, and then move your thread to the front, and it should just sit behind that eye there. Now if you have them, use hackle pliers, or if you want you can just use your hands, but I like my hackle pliers, just makes it easier. Grab the stalk where there's no feathers. I do apologise, I think I've sorted it now. So, as I was saying before, get your thread behind your eye, and then put your hackle pliers on the stalk, like so. Wet your fingers and brush these fibres backwards, like so. And now start spinning it round with the shiny side of the feathers facing forwards, and just brush it back each time. Just each time you get round, brush all your fibres back, including the ones that aren't on the hook yet. And now you can tie your stalk down, trap it, and then tie it round twice on both sides. Now you can snip this excess off. And I've got this very handy tool. It's a dubbing needle. It's also a hatchet tool. What you do, you press your thread under it, you wrap round, and you just go over the eye and do that a bunch of. Right, I found my problem and I've sorted it. So many large files. I really do apologise. So, as I've showed you, the hatchet tool, or you can just use a figure of 4 with your 2 fingers. And then, another thing this tool is good for, use the dubbing needle, put it in the loop, and perfection. Now, instead of snipping it off, what you want to do is open your scissors ever so slightly like this and just slide it up there. That's a wet fly done. Here we have a dry fly hook, again for filling mill, Ultimates Dry Black Nickel. Just got this yesterday from Malin & Green. And again the same with materials, all being from Malin & Green, except for some peacock herl that I might use, I'm not entirely sure yet. Actually, yes, I will use it nearer the head. So obviously you've got the same start point as before. Again, but this time I'm stopping just behind the hook pointers. On here you need to be much more accurate. Grabbing our pheasant tail yet again, and again we select about 5 to 7 fibres. And then you want, actually, as long as it's at the very base, you can just tear it off. And it should, there's this stuff at the bottom called Rycliffe, I think, and that sort of holds it together. As this is a dry fly, it's slightly different with the 2 1/3 ratio is still the same. However, with these feathers, you want the length of the shank and about 1/4 extra behind the fly. So about that much. And then if we just pin that down, move it, pin it down again, adjust the length, wrap up a bit, and then wrap underneath to hold it up, wrap back over. And Bob called right, so you have your shank and then that goes into the bend. At the very top of the bend, Bob yesterday called the shank, so no, not the shank, the crown of the bend, I think, the crown, just the crown. So that's what I'm going to start referring to it as, just so you know. Then you wrap to the front, wrap back, and as you get to the body section, you want to just build up a tad bit here, and then taper it down to the tail again. Then you want to come back to the top of the body, and now you can obviously use the wire from before as it's thin enough, however thicker wire is not. I'm going to use this silver tinsel from Vineyard. It doesn't have anything on it sticker wise, so I'm unfortunately not able to tell you much about it. Again, I just do one wrap off and then I pin it back in, snip it off, and then this you have more of like a bad bit. Yeah, I don't know if you're able to see this, but just there, you know, it's all bent. So that's the part that you definitely want under the thread. So just snip it down a bit so you can put it all under the thread, and then pin it down and cover it all the way down to the tail, and again make sure to taper that body, and just so you have ease in the future. That's something. You might want to do some open spirals up to the front as not to ruin the taper too much. It's more ideal to do this at the very start, I just forgot. You grab your hackle feather. If you have a tool to measure the hook size that you use on the feather, use that. But if not, what I just like to do to test is bend it up like that and see if the fibres look right. Now what you do is strip off the back bit again where all the fluffy fibres are, or the marabou, whatever. And you want to make it even on both sides. Other people say like one side you should have more stripped off. I just strip off the same on each side because that's what I've been taught and that's what works. Then what you want to do is again, you can't see it as much, but the shiny side, so you rest it on the hook shank with it facing away from you, like this. And you have the shiny side facing forwards. This side, some feathers are more prominent, but it should be bent something like this. And the front of the bend is what wants to be facing the front. And then you pin that down just at the start of the fibres. And as you pin it down, back down the stalk, it should move this to be facing over the front of the eye. It's okay if it's slightly bent, obviously it's best if it's not, but if it is, you'll have to make do. Well, you can bend it back, but I'm not bothering to right now. Then you wind back to the tail, and again you want to grab your dubbing. Apparently rabbit is the best. I'm pretty sure it's what I used with Bob the other day, and it's very nice to use, although this Australian opossum works fine as well. And you want to do the same thing as the wet fly, in the fact that you want to taper this dubbing body. Now with this dry fly, you want your taper and your body ratio to be much more precise. Oh, I just had a load of spare feathers fall. Never mind. I won't need them, surely. Anyway, let's start winding this and sort of guide it around the hook point. Obviously you don't want it to hit the hook point and snap. And then once you've reached that 2/3 or the end of the body, just double check that it's tapered and maybe do a bit more, and then you rest it. Then you grab your tinsel and you wrap it forwards in open spirals with the same distance in between, and you only do about 3 or 4 of these spirals or wraps, whatever. And then again, 2 in front, 2 behind. Snip the excess free. Then you go wind back to your dubbing, and you grab your hackle pliers, or again you can do it by hand if you want, and you just grab the end of your hackle, brush it up, and then you wind it round until you get to the end of your thorax, or your thread, your tying thread. Then once you're there, do 1, 2 wraps in front, 2 wraps behind, and then you just let that go. Don't snip or cut it off yet, and I'll show you why in a minute, but just wind through your hackle fibres, sort of wiggle it through as to avoid trapping fibres. And then once you get to your eye, you just push a few back out the way because you're bound to have a few at the front poking out. And you just do about 3 or 4 wraps. Is good. I just accidentally undid a load of wraps, that's why I appear to be doing more. There. Now you grab your hitch tool, as that's useful on hackles. You put it over the eye, you pull it back. Oh, I missed. And this hitch tool is basically a whip finish tool, just in a different way. And it sort of pushes the fibres back for you. Now what you want to do is again open your scissors a bit, pull your line taut and just slide. Then you don't cut any fibres. Then you grab the end of the tip of your hackle and do the exact same as though it was your line. Then you just brush the fibres as you wish to whatever position you wish, which is typically sort of in the middle. And then you've got yourself a typical dry fly. I don't know if you can see that. It's a bit hard to see. I'll get photos and I'll put it in the thumbnail and I'll put it at the start of each of these tutorials. But thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, I would much appreciate you to like and subscribe. Comments. I'm open to comments. I love feedback. Any questions or anything to just say, I'm open. Hope you have a nice day. Goodbye.